This video, we asked people what their definition of feminism was and whether or not they agreed to be a feminist or why not. And we found that a lot of people agreed with what feminism was and they had a good idea of what it was, but they didn't want to identify as a feminist.
Especially the guys.
Especially the guys. And it was because of so many like bad connotations that they've had, like the radicals. And they're like, oh, well, when you think of feminists, you think of like radicals and men-hating, bra-burning women. And they're like, I don't want to be that. And so it's kind of like understandable, but it's like we're kind of telling them like, oh, that's not what feminism is.
So what do you consider to be your definition of feminism?
My definition of feminism would definitely be that equal opportunity for women. If you believe that women and men deserve equal opportunity, it's not gender specific, then you're a feminist. And so I would definitely feel that I'm a feminist because I feel like we deserve to be treated.
So what is your definition of feminism, and do you consider yourself a feminist? Why or why not?
My definition of feminism is someone who's like advocating equal rights for women as well as men. That doesn't mean bringing men's rights down. It just means making the opportunities for a woman equal to that of men.
Feminism is equal pay, equal respect, equal opportunity. Everyone is the same no matter what gender, who you are. It's basically just like women empowerment and bettering and having more opportunity for women and females.
Feminism is a way for women to, I don't want to say it's an excuse for women because like people are like, oh, I'm feminist and stuff and like I can get away with doing this and that because whatnot. I feel like feminism is just a way to like champion women because I mean like early in the 1900s like women didn't have a lot of rights, so it was like a good thing to use back then. With that,
What about
Or feminists are people who be like being brought down and like they can't be like what a woman's supposed to be in society. But really they're just real feminists would be trying to just equal the playing field. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what the definition is because it's so skewed in the real life and what it's supposed to be.
Thanks,
I think feminism is more like a strive for equality, basically specifically for females, just based on like that's like the name, that's the whole female part, like kind of like it was mentioned. But at the same time, it's not just a focus on women doing it for themselves, it's also trying to educate men and women that there is a little bit of a divide and that to bridge that divide to actually be equal.
equally? What do you think people mean when they say they aren't feminist?
I think that the problem is there's a lot of extremists, and that's what people think of, because there are definitely extremists that I think are pushing a little bit more for superiority instead of equality. But if you don't think of the extremists, then I think that most people will agree with feminism.
Definitely, thank you. You're welcome today.
today it's just everything's more equal. Like while women are still like they're generally paid less in the work field now, and like there's instances where feminism is needed, like where women are still treated as unequal. But in modern day, I feel like it's not used as much. I feel like it's just a bunch of like teen bloggers like going out there and being like, "Hey, feminism," and whatnot.
So would you consider yourself a feminist or no?
Probably not, because I'm pretty strong and independent on my own. I don't need like my gender to do that. I mean, I'm going into sports journalism, and that's a predominantly male-dominated field. And I mean, I go in and I do as much research as any of the guys are doing. I know what I'm talking about. I don't need to be like, hey,
So
I'm a
what do
girl.
you think about the rest of the world? You're saying that you don't need feminism because of yourself, but what about the rest of the world, other countries, and other women?
It depends. Like, I mean, the places like where women are still oppressed, I feel like feminism would be needed there. But like in America, it's pretty equal here.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'd say I'm a feminist, but not an active one. Like, I'm not the type to go out portraying anything much of my views, but like if someone asks me, I'll tell them, and if someone says something, I'll put my thought into it, but I'm not gonna try to change other people.
Thank you.
Right on. So with that, do you consider yourself to be a feminist?
I would say that's like a hard thing, because you can define feminism so many ways. I think that there are certain areas of feminism that I agree with, like the whole like pay thing.
Right.
Like, come on, it's pretty obvious that there should be no.
Thank you for recognizing that.
But at the same time, I think that women also need to appreciate that they aren't equal in some other way. They do have differences, and like we appreciate those differences and embrace those differences versus always trying to be doing the exact same thing as men.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't consider myself a feminist, but definitely an ally of feminism, or like people, because I think everyone should be equal and should have the same rights.
Why do you not want to be considered a feminist? Is it because of some who are like kind of a little over the top, like radicals?
When they're the radicals and the super over the top feminists that are like, oh, they start man shaming and they start putting down the other gender,
Yeah,
they put down the males,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty unnecessary. If you want to be equal, you don't have to be better. We're all going to be the same.
When you think of feminism, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Not to sound weird, but Beyonce.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Good example. Yeah.
Why's that? Why Beyonce?
Oh, because I'm real big into music, so I was watching the VMAs. She had her whole feminism performance.
That was great.
over it. So, can't go wrong with Beyonce. She's
Yeah.
great.
Well, thank you.
Hey, thanks.
We went around and, asked people what they thought, and we got very different answers, which was nice to see, what people think. I just found it interesting how, especially the guys, didn't really consider themselves feminists, but that one, the last guy said, an ally, which is kind of still a feminist, but whatever.
It's okay.
At least I get the idea.
Yeah, it was just interesting. It was interesting seeing everyone's point of view, and I was definitely surprised by a lot of people's answers. Pleasantly surprised, and then not so pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
But that's okay. It's interesting to see that people think differently than after being in this class for a course, and you're like, yeah, everyone's a feminist. Everyone believes in equality, and then you go out and you're like, wait, that's not true. So it was eye-opening.
Yeah, I especially liked how the gentleman at the end related his, personal experiences with ideas of feminists with Beyonce.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows how pop culture affects people. Maybe that kind of changed his view a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for watching.